All right, welcome to SEC After Dark. I am your host, Stephen Willis, alongside Jeff Beecham. Corey Burton will be here in a little bit. It's his birthday. He had dinner. He's running a little bit behind, but he's going to join us as well. This SEC After Dark is brought to you in part by La Terrain Watches. Go to laterrain.com. That's la-terrain.com. Enter Palmcast at checkout whenever you get a watch. It's the official watch of Positively Ole Miss, this whole channel. So, enjoy that and what's going on there. So, how you doing, Jeb?
Not bad, not bad. It's been a pretty good week, actually. So, excited to be back.
Yeah. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking just Coors Light tonight.
Coors Light? Yeah, Bullet as well. Bullet as well. It'd be interesting to see what Corey's drinking when he shows up. He should be here in the next 5 minutes or so. But he's doing, like I said, birthday stuff. They want to take him out to dinner and all that stuff that whenever you turn into an old man. He likes to pick on me for being an old man. But he's kind of an old man. Before we get started, though, today, I do want to address to everybody, I have a concern. I have a concern. For the first time, I'm all for name, image, and likeness. All for it. Absolutely have at it and do it. But for the first time, I have a concern. And that is the fact that coverage of college sports is going to go the same way as the rest of the media. For 15, 20 years, money has been too close to content, and that has led to opinions and all the stuff that we see wrong with the media and what's going on. And now on college sports, that's going to happen. I think you heard today, I love the J-Boy show, but 7 or 8 different players were signed up for the J-Boy show. There's players that go to, like, Texas. There's players that go to Alabama or Ole Miss and all this stuff, have name, image, and license contracts for their image so they can be, compensated for doing interviews, a paid interview. Well, the problem that I have with that paid interview is that those people are going to be far less likely to criticize the people that they are paying more money for their content, paying money for their opinions and podcast or whatever they're doing. And coverage will become so slanted in college football. If, say, Bryce Young is paid to be on your show and give his opinion, why would you not address him for the Heisman and pump him up, even to a level that is not expected, especially of a freshman quarterback? He had one good game, but why not pump him up? The higher he goes, the better it is for your show. And then, like I said, money too close to content, I have a little bit of a concern, Jeb.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see you also being worried about if you do actually try and get a little more to maybe subjects they don't want to talk about with certain teams, then other players on that team might not want to come either. So, yeah, I can see money being an issue in that situation, kind of jeopardizing your journalistic integrity a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. It'd be kind of interesting to find out, but you're right. I can understand why you would have concerns.
Yeah, over the past 5 years or so, and what we've seen with the media, it's always safe to assume the worst. Just plan on the worst happening. It probably is. So if you're worried about something happen eventually, that is going to happen. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out because that was happening today, and the name, image, and likeness it's got me a little bit worried. Not so much about the on the field or the players or anything like that. It's just how the media presents it, how they're presented, and building up players that you have contracts with as opposed to another. It becomes a Nike versus Adidas thing for rivals versus 24/7 based on name, image, and likeness for college sports. So I just think it affects the integrity and what we're used to seeing. We maybe shouldn't take it at face value anymore.
And it does seem like a lot of things in the media are already moving toward, what I basically call clickbait. You're always trying to look for reasons to get people to click on your website. And yes, I can understand now if you're having to pay players to come on, that's the ones you're going to try and steer everybody toward and so that they'll come listen to your interviews you did with them. I can understand that.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous. So we'll move on and do a recap of last week. Tennessee, a 38-6 winner over Bowling Green. heard a joke about Joe Milton this weekend. And that joke is if you need somebody that can throw the ball 40 yards, Joe Milton is your guy. If you need a guy that can throw it 30 yards, Joe Milton would throw it 40 yards. So he had trouble completing passing. He struggled in the second half. I like the offense. The running game over 300 yards. Jabari Small over 100 yards. There are a lot of positives to be taken away. But as the talent level that they're playing against improves, I get a little bit nervous about their depth and dealing with massive play volume and things like that.
He completed one pass in the second half of the game, 2 passes after the first quarter. Yeah, it wasn't even just bad passing. You could tell when he would drop back to throw the ball, he just stood there in the pocket. I mean, he doesn't move his feet until he's ready to run. He didn't make great reads. Yeah, some players dropped some passes too, so it wasn't all on Joe Milton, but it's still there was a lot of concern there. And in the past, Tennessee fans have already had to deal with players like Garantano and some of the others that the coaches would stick with for years who just never improved. And so now we all have just a natural fear that that's what's going to happen again. Although Joe Milton, it was his first game, and Coach Heupel is known for being a quarterback coach kind of guy. So I'm willing to give him some time to see if that can improve. But I just have that fear now that we're going to be stuck with one guy that the coach just likes but never gets better.
Yeah, Jared Garantano threw an interception that bounced off of his own player from 3 yards away, and he threw a touchdown that bounced off an intercepting player's jersey the same way. So he's another guy that threw at the same speed no matter where it was on the field. It was one of those that, hey, 15, 20 yards, you're good. That's awesome. If it's for 5 or a real short pass, there's a little bit of a problem. And especially with the deep ball, that was another problem in the game. But I see where Tennessee is going. There's some things in that game that they should be happy about, and they can look for the future to build on. I don't know if they have a problem at quarterback yet. I'll tell you after this weekend because we'll know. But it'll be interesting to see what's going on.
Yes. Hey.
There he is. We were just talking about how if you need somebody to throw you the ball 40 yards, Joe Milton is your guy. If you need somebody to throw the ball 30 yards, Joe Milton will throw it 40.
I don't think we're getting your audio.
See. Try now.
How about now?
Nope, not hearing it.
Okay,
Oh, boy.
I'm hearing him.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
If you're hearing me.
Yeah, levels are happening too, so Jeb's not hearing.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
problem, though.
Yeah,
That's
Jeb's.
weird. Well, I hear you, so.
Well,
Says, Jake Thomas said turn your volume up, so.
yeah, there you go.
Well, I hear Steve just fine.
Yeah. So
Let's
let's see what's going on here.
All right.
No,
How about
actually,
now?
Nope, it's my computer. McAfee
Okay.
got you again.
Okay.
I have some insane security on this computer apparently that I didn't realize. And
All right.
It shuts out everybody until I approve them.
Technology right there.
Yes. So all you missed is us talking about the Tennessee game, and I
Yeah.
mentioned that after this weekend, I'll tell you if they have a quarterback problem. But there was a lot of stuff that Tennessee fans can be happy about from that first game, and stuff like that.
I agree. I mean, the main thing you wanted to see is Tennessee going to play hard? Are they going to make plays? Are they going to be, they're going to face they're going to face some adversity. Can they overcome it? Jeb, you're a secret agent. 007. Jeb Beecham. Yeah. So that's the main thing. Can they get some consistent play? Can they get some guys playing hard, and we're good to go?
And I reacted harshly at the time. I was not very happy with the game, but I do have to admit, at least it never felt like a game we were going to lose, and that's been unfortunately a problem with Tennessee in the past few years. So I've been happy with that. And their rushing game looked great. I loved both the main backs they had, both Evans and Small.
Yeah, Jabari Small is impressive.
Yeah, I was happy with that. So there were a lot of positives. And Coach Heupel, like I said, he's known for being a quarterback coach. I'm going to give him time see if he can improve this quarterback situation. But they only have until, like Steve said, this weekend.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
Moving on, we got Kentucky 45-10 over Louisiana Monroe. Will Levis looks like he could be the real deal. He could be
The
another
forward pass is
could-
alive and well.
He could be another Kenny Trill. We don't know.
Could
We
be.
need to see another game. Their lineup against Missouri this weekend. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was impressed with the play calling, the play design, things like that. I mean, I felt like I was watching a Rams game, so that was fun, right?
both of y'all said they were going to be better this year, and I know a lot of people were picking Kentucky to finish maybe third in the East or maybe even compete for second, and I did not really believe that. But after this game, I got to tell you, they're winning me over. That was impressive.
Arkansas started out 1-0 in the Southwest Conference with a 38-17 win over Rice. Arkansas has a quarterback problem throwing the ball. KJ Jefferson struggled in that game. He ran the ball great. Absolutely ran the ball great. But throwing the ball, there were problems. Now, Kendall Briles is going to be a guy that he's okay with that. He had a De'Aaron King at Houston way back when. But that one-dimensional is going to hurt Arkansas in the SEC games, and they're trying to get to 6. That's their goal. They're trying to get to 6 wins.
Yeah, I mean, KJ Jefferson is going to have to be a little more consistent if they want to compete with Texas this week. But, you know, running game-wise, he's a legitimate threat, so they can build off that.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to watch that game very much, but, I mean, they won. Rice is not a very good team, so, I mean, it was I don't know what to say about that. Like you said, it just looked like the passing wasn't there at all, but I understand that as a Tennessee fan, how that felt, watching a good running attack and just failing in the passing department.
All right.
They get it together, too.
All right, Alabama, 44-13 winners over Miami. You could actually see the P running down the Miami players' legs when they ran out. That game was over before the opening kickoff. It was absolutely ridiculous. Now, everybody's excited about the explosive plays and what's happened, and then just playing devil's advocate. They're an elite team. They're a great team and all of that. But if you take away that 95-yard touchdown and you take away, I think, 2 45-yard games, their total offense is about 350 yards. And as a freshman quarterback, that's what was expected of them. They just happened to hit those explosives. What will happen to a freshman quarterback when they play somebody, honestly, like Ole Miss, who wants to play that drop H, John Haycock defense, and a freshman trying to hit really tiny windows? What's going to happen then?
The first time he encounters that, he's going to get rattled. I think Florida will be the best test for Bryce Young because they're going to rattle his cage. Florida is a havoc-based defense, so we're going to kind of see what he does when he gets the bell rung, because it's going to be interesting. Yeah, we worked on Miami. Miami was scared shitless.
Yeah, you see the P running down their legs. For the team that invented swagger,
it was brutal.
Yeah, for the team that invented swagger, I've never seen a team come out just scared. That game was lost before the first kickoff.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And you know, I don't want to take anything away from Alabama either. I mean, you know, I know we're trying to poke holes in Alabama because that's what you do when you're talking about the elite teams. You spend your time trying to poke holes successfully, some cases unsuccessfully, most. But you know, Alabama, the play calling was great. They got great production out of the receivers. John Mechie looks like he's a real deal. Their defense is unreal, man. Their defense is like I don't like it's video game stuff, man. Their defense is incredible.
Yeah, I was very surprised in that game and just disappointed, honestly, with
that
Miami, because you're right.
Yeah, that was
You
bad.
can tell right when they came out, they just weren't ready to play at that level.
Yeah, and that transfer from Ohio State, like that dude, he's smooth. He might end up closing the season as the number one receiver on that team, as opposed to John Mechie. Yeah. He is legit.
He will. That dude, that dude's legit, man. You know, you don't want to get Bama at the end of the year, but man, that's you better get Bama now.
Mm-hmm.
So Ole Miss A&M, that'll be an interesting stretch.
Yeah, October 2nd, October 9th, Ole Miss A&M. I'm interested to see what A&M has. We'll jump to A&M now. 3 interceptions against Kent State. Haynes King played okay. It was kind of a first start thing, but that system that Jimbo runs is just a little bit different than everybody else. It's not quite spread, even though it's out of the shotgun. It's not quite pro style. It's just a little bit of weirdness. And because of that, I think quarterbacks struggle and they get better as it goes.
This is typical for A&M. They under Jimbo Fisher, they've always struggled game one. I mean, they played Kent State, game one a few years ago and struggled big time. And you thought, okay, here we go, A&M, and then they rattle off 9 wins on the season. But it's not time to hit the panic button yet. A&M will get into their groove in a couple of weeks, and they'll be rolling. They'll be rolling by the time Bama comes to town.
Yeah, I agree. They've got a really good defense, and they were breaking in a new quarterback, so I wasn't real surprised by it either. I think they're going to be a really good team.
I do think A&M forced the pass in that game, and they threw it just to get Haynes King broken in because they do have 4 weeks to get him right. And they got a nice little ramp up with Colorado this week, and I think Arkansas next week, and then somebody else the week after that, and then there's the Alabama game. I think Auburn is October 2nd. But there's a nice little ramp where the level is going to go up each time and get them ready for that Alabama game, which will be the biggest game in Kyle Field since probably the last time Alabama came in there. Central Michigan gave Missouri a game. Missouri ended up winning 34-24. Didn't huddle. There was no shark humper on the sideline for the Chippewas, and it's a good team.
Almost like they didn't need them. Yeah, no, they surprised me a little bit. I mean, I knew they were going to be good because MAC teams are usually, unless you're Akron or like, some of the Akron's like the bottom of the barrel there, but most of the MAC teams like they rotate through being middle of the pack and top of the pack, and Central Michigan's always up there near the top. So I wasn't surprised that they were good. I was surprised that they were better than I expected because they were a 500 team last year in the MAC, and they came out swinging against Missouri. Missouri really was slow to get off the mat, really slow to get into the game, and it was looking bleak there for a minute, and then all of a sudden, they went on a run and they won the game. But that kind of worries me about Missouri. Like they come out lackluster against Kentucky, that score's gonna get ugly real quick.
Yeah, I thought that would be a closer game, but after this last week, you're right. Kentucky looked a lot better than Missouri. I do Central Michigan
looked a lot sharper.
Yeah, just more ready to go. And you're right. They're a good team, and I'm good. Like they're a tougher team than a lot of the cupcakes that a lot of teams played. So I wasn't surprised that they played well. Their running back over there, I can't remember his name, Nichols maybe, is really good, or at least looked like he was. So
yeah,
it was a good game. I think you're right though. Missouri was just not ready for it. I don't think they expected it to be such a tough game at the first, and kind of got a little turned around, but they got it together in the end.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, fun fact, Central Michigan next week in Baton Rouge to play the LSU Tigers. So, yeah, it's an upset alert game. Mississippi State, on the backs of a 20-point fourth-quarter comeback, upsets the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. Well, I'm just kidding about upsets, but they were able to come back, the largest in school history. They get the win. This is one of those situations where if you play poorly, it's better to have a win to coach off of than a loss. But either way, there were problems after that game.
Youth movement, man. They're still really young, really inexperienced. A lot of their producers, even last year, transferred, like Javante Payton. I didn't even realize he transferred to Tennessee, but he's contributing for the Vols now and not Mississippi State. So there's something going on. And I'm starting to kind of think that maybe Mike Leach may not be the right fit there.
Well, Mississippi State is a running
even though
program.
He's great at press conferences.
Yeah, they run a program. They're a running program. They've always been a running program, and now they're going to the air raid. So it is a massive system change. I mean, it's a lot. So it's going to take 2 or 3 years. Maybe year 3 is the silver lining point for that team where they start looking like a Mike Leach team. But I would not look for too much this year. Maybe another bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, they got the schedule, I think, set up where they can at least make a bowl game. So, who knows?
All right, South Carolina 46, Eastern Illinois nothing. GA quarterback he threw some soft passes near the end zone. They were able to get touchdowns that I'm not convinced that's going to work in the long run, but it worked for one day, and the school, I guess the Fighting Tony Romos, got beat 46-0.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina came out and played hard. They did what they were supposed to do. They shut out an FCS school and threw some points on them. So, Vandy, take notes. That's what you're supposed to do with an FCS ball club. So, I mean, I really take away nothing from this game, honestly. It just was – it is what it is.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I don't want to read too much into that game. So, I was proud of their GA quarterback. I mean, that's awesome to come back as a grad assistant and have a good game. But I don't think it means much in the schedule going forward.
He's the winning percentage, the winningest coach in SEC football history, or winningest quarterback.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we will move on to Auburn 60, Akron 10. Akron is horrible, absolutely terrible. But, I mean, Auburn put a 60 burger up. It's not easy to put 60 points up.
You can't, some teams struggle to put 60 points up in practice against air. I know we do at Hillwood sometimes, but, it's good to see that number posted by Auburn against a G5 team, an FBS team. So that's the good news. Tank Bixby, obviously rolling there. There's some chemistry with Mike Bobo and Bo Nix, and I think Mike Bobo had a good night play calling, and that's kind of what I take away. We'll see what they got as they go down the stretch and kind of get more and more time together. But it could go either. Bad Bo hasn't come out yet, so we'll see when Bad Bo comes out what happens.
All right, Georgia.
That's my takeaway.
Yeah, Georgia 10. Clemson 3, no offensive touchdowns. Corey, you told me all offseason that this was going to be a different-looking Georgia team, and this was not a different-looking Georgia team.
Well, did you see the receivers they trotted out there?
Yeah, I understand their injury. I understand.
They could not throw the ball to those guys long. Like Lad McConkey, walk-on, preferred walk-on. He started in the slot. He was our attempt at Hunter Renfrow, right? You're going against probably the third best defense in the country in Clemson. That doesn't help. We were able to have some success on the ground, but JT struggled, man. It was, Kyrus Jackson's coming off of injury, so he wasn't in game shape yet. Jermaine Burton wasn't in game shape yet, so they got limited reps, and they just couldn't do much. Like they had a freshman tight end. He led the way as far as receptions. He had 6 of them, and he was probably the biggest X factor in the passing game. And that's not good if a freshman tight end who comes into the season third string is your leading receiver for the game. That's not a good sign. All right, but the good is the defense.
Ooh.
Kobe Dean, man, he's trying to do his best impression of Roquan, and he might have been successful at that. Nolan Smith was a force on the edge. Jordan Davis, my God, what a monster of a human. And I thought the secondary played really, really well. De'Aaron Kendrick coming over from Clemson, I thought he had a great game. Keely Ringo, outside of a couple of really egregious pass interference calls, was really good covering Justin Ross. I thought the secondary overall played well. I mean, obviously Chris Smith with the 74-yard pick six, jumped a slant route, shows that they actually watch film. So that group played physical. They played inspired football, man. They weren't going to let DJ Ungiolelele get him, and they didn't. They put him into a shell. Like he went into a shell, man. I've never seen a quarterback just go into a shell like that.
Yeah,
especially one of that caliber.
Yeah, it was definitely a Stockholm syndrome or whatever you call it, because they just beat him over and over and over again. He started seeing ghosts in clean pockets. And, I mean, at that point, he was worthless. And, that was early. That was late in the first quarter. And what that defensive line did to Clemson's offensive line, there's probably a felony warrant in North Carolina for assault. Because, I mean, it was – I enjoyed watching that greatly. I haven't seen a throwback game like that in 10 years. but that defense was just dominant. And like I said, I don't know. Like Jake pointed this out. Was that game about both offenses being great, or both defenses being great, or both offenses being hot garbage?
I think both defenses made the offenses look like hot garbage. I mean, you look the turning point of that game where I thought Clemson was never going to win that game was when JT threw that interception deep in Georgia territory,
and
Clemson, and they went backwards.
Yeah,
they went backwards. Two sacks, minus 12 yards on the drive. I was like, yeah, Clemson's done.
Yeah, whenever Georgia went up 10-0, I was like, this game is over because Clemson can't score twice.
Yeah, they can't even get 2 field goals. They can't even rub 2 nickels together.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Go ahead, Jeb.
I was looking at the line and seeing there were only what were we all credited with? 7 sacks, maybe. I would have guessed
7 sacks
at least.
Well, we had several knockdowns and hurries. Yeah, we had several knockdowns, hurries. I mean, we got shots on him. We probably got 4 or 5 shots on him as he threw. We probably hurried him another 4 or 5 times after that. I mean, we could have had 10 sacks easily.
That was incredible. And I did think last week, I knew both these defenses were great, and I was thinking it would come down to the more experienced quarterback winning, which is true in the sense that he didn't throw a pick six and the other one did. But other than that, no, it was the defenses were amazing.
You know, I thought for that type of game, JT he managed the offense really well, got him into some good plays. I thought, there was a lot of RPOs that were called, Steve, and they had run reads. They had run reads to him, and he got the run read. So, I mean, a lot of those you could see there was routes attached to it, and he just didn't get the pass read on a lot of them. And some of them they got the pass read, and Clemson just played it really well. So, you got to tip your cap to that and say, all right, here we go.
And I have a theory that everybody's going to talk about the Clemson dynasty that's happened over the last 4 years and point to Trevor Lawrence and him being in Jacksonville is the problem. The story this year was about DJ. But Travis Etienne, nobody talks about Travis Etienne. 6 yards Clemson ran for in that game. 6. Was it 6? It might have been less than that.
2.
It was 2 yards. They ran for 2 yards. That's 6 feet. That means if I fall over, I would fall over for 2 yards. Travis Etienne, being the game breaker that he was, he does not get enough respect. I genuinely believe the ACC at this point misses the playoff moving forward. There's just nobody there. North Carolina getting beaten. Miami, like I said, just pee going down their legs.
I think the surprise team, Steve, I think the surprise team out of that conference is going to be NC State. Watch out for them.
Yeah.
But
I think so.
I think Georgia and Alabama will both be undefeated going into the SEC conference game, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Florida 35-14 victor over Florida Atlantic. Anthony Richardson's really the story there. I think he had about 160 yards rushing. And now that was pretty much garbage time when they set up, but him wearing number 15 and a little bit nerve-wracking seeing a number 15 run around for Florida.
Yeah, I think I hate to say this, but he's the better quarterback. I hope Dan Mullen doesn't realize that, but he's the better quarterback.
Yeah, Avery Jones definitely struggled a lot more than I thought he would in that game. So that may just be his tune-up game too.
Avery Jones is who we think he is. I mean, that's who he is. He's going to struggle throwing the ball. He is a slightly better version of Joe Milton. Not very accurate. Probably going to turn the ball over more than he should. Good runner, right? Good, powerful runner, but just not like Milton, KJ Jefferson, Emory Jones are all the same cat. All 3 of those guys are the same cat. Struggle throwing the ball, struggle with accuracy, can run really well, and can surprisingly hit a deep ball. They got strong arms.
Yeah, the quarterback controversy, the people that cover Florida are starting to ramp that up a little bit. And Dan Mullen in his first press conference talked about the ability to run the whole offense with Emory Jones. Well, here's the point. If Emory Jones is 7 for 20 or whatever he is to where he's struggling throwing the football, you're not running your whole offense, so it doesn't matter. Get a plus runner into the game, call some simple pass plays for him, and make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about efficiency, and you got to find out what Avery Jones can throw. I don't give a crap about the whole offense. Let's get what he can do and execute it, and that's what they got to do. And if he can't do it, then bring in Richardson. He's better.
Yeah,
I think he's better at this point.
All right, in our last game of the weekend, the Fighting Randy Sanders of ETSU, 23-3 victors at Vanderbilt. Me and Corey are like president and vice president of the Ken Seals fan club. The kids really struggled. Oh my goodness!
That thing collapsed, man. Mike Wright's the better quarterback over there at Vandy, but Tennessee is so into Vandy's heads that Randy Sanders, who was an assistant there a long time ago, beat them. That's how much in their head they are. It's sad. It's really sad. Like, that game should have been worse too. That's the sad part. It should have been worse. There was a 99-yard pick six that was called back. It was brutal, man. And Jake, no need to talk about Vandy. Yeah, we got to make fun of Vandy a little bit. Like you lose to an SDS team, we got to dedicate time to make fun of you a little bit. Ken Seals, I'm sorry, man. You're awful. That was terrible. Maybe you'll be better, but
also,
that's terrible. Receivers weren't getting separation. O-line was awful.
This is the time to remind everybody, Vandy is not getting kicked out of the SEC because they are a private school and not subject to Freedom of Information Act. If all the schools were public schools, the SEC conference files would be subject to Freedom of Information Act. Vandy is going nowhere, so don't even make it. Don't even make the joke.
Yeah, Jake, it's okay. They're good in baseball. So
yeah, they are good in baseball. That's the funny thing. They changed their logo on the side of their helmet. They had that beautiful star on the side of their helmet, and they changed it to that V to match the baseball team, so they could get that baseball mojo. And then they go out in the first game wearing that and just get boat raced by ETSU. Oh,
and if I'm Vanderbilt equipment, I'm going back to the Star V.
Yeah. Almost serves them right. But that is last week's games. We're going to move to week 2 in just a second. Corey, I was talking about, I want to get your opinion on this before we start. Name, image, and likeness. I'm all for name, image, and likeness. I'm glad they did that. But my concern is, I've got a concern for the first time. Today it was announced that the J-Boy show and Colin Coward's product got like 7 or 8 people for name, image, and likeness. And my concern is that money is getting too close to content, and you're beneficially money related to, like, let's say, pump Bryce Young up for Heisman. Not saying he's going to do that, but it would be financially beneficial if you would do that, and then the truth just gets left behind. Are we at the point where you just need to separate all? Everybody has a bias, understand that, and just enjoy what's going on. It's all entertainment. It's not news anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we're way past that point. I mean, you take everything with a grain of salt. It's all opinion based. I mean, you watch these 24-hour news cycles. It's all opinion based. Like CNN leans left, Fox News, right? They lay down left. Fox News lays down to the right. MSNBC lays down to the left. For that OAN channel, they're more right than Fox News. I mean, people all over the place, and it's all biased, right? Sports has died and gone the way of First Take and all these pundit shows, and it's all opinion, it's all talking heads, it's all like what you see right here with SEC After Dark. This is content, right? You pay, like, when you subscribe, you pay for people's opinions, right? When you log on, the volume's free, obviously. You log on to the volume to hear what Bryce Young has to say. And that's what you're paying for. Like, they want to pump him up to be Heisman, great. I mean, everyone's got a free shot at it, so it's not unfair. Like, they signed Bryce Young, they signed Kyrus Jackson, and I don't know who else they signed. They signed some other guys, so it's not like they're just going for Heisman contenders. I mean, they're giving guys a platform.
Oh, Windows 98 is killing you, Corey. Yeah, exactly. By the way,
I'm pixelated, Burton.
Yeah, Bo Nix was selected by them as well, and there's actually an episode about Bo Nix being a Heisman finalist that has already popped up. And that just made me think. So like I said, there's no guarantee that it's going to happen. You have to take it almost like news entertainment at this point, like the professional wrestling back in the day.
You just have to get good at using that fine-tooth comb and just picking that shred of fact. There's a shred of fact in everything. You just gotta find that, pick it out, and go. So, all
right, let's move on to week 2.
Right now,
the
Jake
first
Thomas, the comedian.
Yeah, he's dropping some. The chat window is hot at the moment. But Tennessee and Pittsburgh.
He's dropping nukes on me.
Yeah, this is the most important game of the season for Tennessee. There's no path to a bowl game that doesn't include a win over Pittsburgh. It is the most important game of the day. Will Joe Milton improve? Will the pass game improve? This is all possible because, as you know, as a coach, that teams improve the most between the first and the second game. So it's all possible. It's all there for Tennessee, but can they do it?
Yes and no. Like right now, I don't think they have the depth to make an improvement in the win column necessarily, but I do think you'll see a better product. I do think you'll see a slightly better game out of Joe Milton, and he'll get better each and every week as he gets more comfortable. And as he gets more comfortable with the system, and as Josh Heupel gets more comfortable with Joe Milton, and they kind of find what works for him, I think as they do that, Josh Heupel's a good enough coach. I think he can figure it out. And he'll make it work around Joe Milton, that they will be better. Jabari Small's a really good running back. Javonte Payton's a really good weapon for them. They've got some good pieces. I just don't think they have enough of them to really get through an SEC schedule. But you will see a really good product out of Tennessee, I think. And in like 2 years, when they finally build all the depth that they need, they're going to be really good.
I don't know. I think if they can improve enough to beat Pittsburgh, they can at least get into a bowl game this year. Now it's
yeah. I mean that's coach of the year type stuff.
They're gonna have a losing record in the SEC, no doubt about that. But I mean Vanderbilt, they're gonna beat this year. Their other 2 out of conference games are much easier.
South Carolina. I mean the path is there.
That's what I'm hoping for. So, but this Pittsburgh team though is really not bad, and Tennessee is really not good. So. It's going to be a tough game, but I'm looking for the improvement in Joe Milton. I want to see what happens at quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, Pittsburgh's really good defensively. Kenny Pickett's is a solid quarterback. He can make it go a little bit, but he's not a game breaker. I mean, this is a very winnable game for Tennessee, even as bad as they are, and they're not that bad to be honest with you. They're just not very deep, and they struggle at times, but they're just not deep, and that's where they're going to get in trouble. But against the Pitt team, Pitt's not very deep either, but they have some good playmakers defensively. They struggle offensively. So Tennessee will be able to find an avenue to win this game, I think.
They're the UCLA of the East. They're a bunch of super seniors and seniors on this roster for Pitt. We move on. Exactly. Alabama State and Auburn. We're not going to really break this down because if we're talking about this on Sunday, something went terribly wrong. So we'll move on to the next game, South Carolina and East Carolina. South Carolina is about a 1 or 2 point favorite at this point, and
East Carolina I thought was a favorite at one point.
South Carolina is favored by 2.
Okay, it must have changed then.
According to this, and there's a problem with the grad assistant thing. Whenever you look at the grad assistant thing, I just didn't see the arm strength. And I think there's a way that you can get it. They get Kevin Harris back, though, this week, and that's going to help them out immensely.
I think Luke Doty's got to play. I mean, he's not great, but I think he's got to play, man. I mean, he was okay enough last year to at least make them viable, at least early in the year. I mean, they kind of got more and more pitiful as the season went on last year. But, I think he's got to play. I think he's your better option in this case as you're waiting on Colton Gauthier. But I think – this is going to be a tight game because ECU is a little bit better. ECU's at home. This is going to be their Super Bowl. They can beat an SEC team and get on the map. And they're just going to struggle, man. South Carolina's going to struggle in this one. They may win. They may pull it out. It's going to be tight, and we're going to talk about how tight it was. I won't be surprised if it's tight. but it will be. Kevin Harris will be the difference maker.
Yeah. Florida at USF at Raymond James Stadium with the Pirate Ship. I think Florida's a 28-point favorite.
Oh boy.
It's a trap game. This absolutely is a trap game. They got Alabama coming up. They're looking ahead to Alabama. Of course, they're looking ahead to Alabama, and this feels like it's going to be a 35-21 type game.
You don't know how bad South Florida is. South Florida's pitiful. They are. You want to talk about a ball club that's in disarray? They are awful. I think Vandy could beat them.
Oh, come on now.
NC State blew them out.
I think NC State is good.
God awful.
I think NC State
State's
is
really good. They blew them out, but
yeah,
NC State didn't play their best game and they blew them out 45-0.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a look.
South Florida's horrible.
Yeah, which is weird because
they'll struggle a little bit.
Who was the coach that was there 15 years ago that had them number 2 in the country? Defensive Jim Leavitt. Leavitt. It's Jim Leavitt.
Yeah. He's defense coordinator at Oregon now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
So yeah,
something like that. Around the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, I can see it being a trap game, but I just don't buy it. I think Florida's gonna roll.
I think they'll win, but
they're worse than Nebraska.
Some more tune-up before they get to Alabama. So I can see them playing around with some things and trying to fix their team a little bit.
You're not going to get much out of this one, Jeb. You're just there's not going to be much takeaway from this.
And Florida's going to.
It's going to be a lot of false confidence.
Yeah, Florida's going to take over Tampa.
Yeah, they will. It'll be a home away from home. And just so you know, as much as Jake hates Auburn, I hate Florida. So, sorry, Gator fans. I can't root for you. I can talk about you, I can compliment you, but I can't root for you.
So we move on to Texas A&M against Colorado, playing at Mile High Stadium.
Sorry.
So it's not going to be played in Boulder on the normal home field. It will be in Mile High Stadium, and you'll get to see the evolution of Haynes King, the next step, the slightly better team. And like I said, this is all building towards October 9th if it's ideally done. And Texas A&M's favored by 17. That feels about right. I could see this game actually being 27-10-ish.
Yeah, I don't know that much about Colorado, but I feel like Texas A&M is just going to get better and better. They started off a little slow. Not bad in the first game, but I think they're going to definitely improve every game until they hit this SEC schedule. So I think that one's going to get bad in the end.
Yeah, I think Corey got frozen, so we got a frozen image of Corey for the moment.
I was wondering what was going on there.
Yeah, we will move on to the next one as well. And he really needs to not. Oh, this is the one where he needs to go. We'll do the Georgia game a little bit later. Right. Let's see. And I'll add Corey to rendezvous. Oh, I need to replace it real quick. Just a second. Let's see. Okay, just a second. There's two of you in rendezvous at the moment. Okay, so hit OK. There we go.
Hi.
So
I need to upgrade to Windows 98, Jake.
Yeah,
I'm on Windows 95 right now. I'm on an Atari.
UAB at Georgia. Georgia going through some COVID stuff this week. We don't know exactly how that looks. UAB has a decent defense. I think they were a top 10 team in the pass defense department last year. Now, I'm not saying anything. I think Georgia's going to line up and just mash them. But this could be like a 31-3 type game.
I don't think it's going to be a cover. It's not. It's a big spread, but they're not going to cover because they're going to run the ball short in the game. And let's just get out of here and prepare for South Carolina. I mean, that's the goal.
You don't think they'll give the quarterback there a few chances just to get him in the groove, since he didn't really last week very much?
They might. I could see that they might, but I still think it's going to be. I still think they're going to dust off the old Kentucky Georgia playbook from game plan from last season, and let's just maul them up front and run the ball, and let's just get out of here and prepare for South Carolina. I don't particularly love that game plan because I do think you need to work your passing game, but man, it's that's what they need to do.
Yeah. When you look at that defense, it's really hard to just say that's the wrong way to do it because it's by leaps and bounds right now the strength of your team. Now, it'll be interesting to see once SEC play gets going how the offense looks and what they do. But as it sits right now, I would run the ball and play defense. I mean, UAB is not a threat to beat you. There's not somebody that's going to outscore you.
No, they're not. Especially with this defense, they're not. They're just he's not going to really get much going.
Best team in the country, potentially, the Alabama Crimson Tide, and perhaps the most lopsided, the most lopsided matchup since maybe Cumberland College versus Georgia Tech, maybe. Something like that.
Or Northern Illinois versus Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Mercer,
right?
Yeah, I feel sorry for Mercer. Good grief.
It's going to be a 60 burger, and Saban will get to his 60 burger, and then he'll empty the bench, which is still better than all of Mercer's team. And I think the scout team at Alabama could beat Mercer, and you'll see that. So
there's no
you'll
line
see some
in this
walk-ons
game.
Yeah, there shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a line at like 70 points, and people would probably bet on it at that point. But
are they going to cover the stud? Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, but it would be embarrassing for the other team. I don't know what's going. Yeah, they're going to take their money, take their licks, and get going. That's exactly right. This is all about the athletic budget at the FCS school.
And Alabama will pay them handsomely because Alabama can.
Yeah. And Southwest Conference matchup of the week, Texas versus Arkansas in Fayetteville. The Hogs try to go 2-0 in the Southwest Conference with the big win with the Longhorns coming in town. I'm just kidding about that, of course. But Steve Sarkisian knows how to deal with Arkansas. He saw them at Alabama. Sam Pittman probably knows a little bit what to expect because he saw Alabama as well. So I think this game could be tight. I'm worried that KJ Jefferson isn't the passer that can make that offense as lethal as it can be. If you want to see what it can look like, look down the road at Oxford because it's the same offense. But I'm expecting a pretty good game if Hudson Card struggles as a freshman in Fayetteville, because Fayetteville can be a house of horrors. I've seen what that can be like. Mm-hmm. Arkansas has a shot.
Yeah, I mean they tortured Matt Corral in Fayetteville, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did the same to Card, who's a freshman. Bijan Robinson's going to be a difference maker in this game. I think he's really good. He's one of my favorite backs in the country. Stark obviously just knows how to use his personnel. And I think you can't discount that. I mean, I think he knows how to get his guys in position to make plays. And, and Texas made plays last week, albeit against Louisiana, not Louisville. Louisiana. Louisville got run by Ole Miss. But, they're off to a good start in Texas. I mean, I'm not going to go Texas is back. To Sam Ellinger ain't walking through that door. But I think Texas is going to be good. They're going to be solid. This is going to be a good game. KJ Jefferson is going to have to, at some point, lead a drive through the air and be a difference maker. If he can, Arkansas is a physical enough team that they will win, that they can win. If not, we're going to see a Longhorn victory here.
Yeah. It's either that or that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Texas is a team I'm not a huge fan of, and they've not been as good in these last few years as they used to be. But I really like them this year, actually, from what I've seen so far. I think they're going to be a good team this season, and Arkansas is going to give them a good game. I think Arkansas is good too, but Texas, I think Texas is going to be able to win this game.
Yeah, looks like it. North Carolina State at Starkville, 2.5-point favorites over the Bulldogs.
Oh boy.
This is a game I genuinely think NC State is good. For whatever reason, it might blow up in my face, but I genuinely think they're good. Dave Doran is a defensive coach. I think he's going to have something that will give Mike Leach problems, something that Will Rogers hasn't seen, and I think they cover that line pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, NC State's great on the offensive line. I mean, they're going to mash. They're good.
Yeah. What do you think, Joe?
They're good.
Oh, we're losing them again there. Yeah, NC State's not a team that I was keeping up with up until the beginning of the season. I just really had paid attention to them. They were better than I thought they would be. I keep expecting Mike Leach and Mississippi State to actually step it up and play better. But like you said, he's not been there long, and his system is so different that it's going to take him a while to really get that implemented there with the players he wants. So I'm not surprised that they're not playing well so far, and it's probably going to be a little more time for them. So I can see NC State taking this game. When I would probably bet on Mississippi State, it won't surprise me at all if NC State actually ends up winning.
Yeah, and the line is so small. Just go ahead and take a money line, whoever you think is going to cover. If you think NC State's going to cover, just take NC State on the money line. Yeah. Don't mess with the spread. It's so little.
Yeah, I mean, NC State is good, man. They're going to mash. They're good.
Speaking of they're going to mash, even though they discovered the forward pass, Kentucky and Missouri in the giant grocery bag in Lexington, Kentucky. Kentucky's a 5-point favorite. I like them to cover. Missouri struggled with Central Michigan. Was Central Michigan good? Were they bad? We'll find out this weekend because I think we have a pretty good idea that Kentucky's good.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get a whole lot of. We got a Missouri knows how to wake up on an 11 a.m. kick halfway through the game and win. We know they can do that. We know Connor Basilic. God, I can't say his name tonight. We know Connor Basilic is good. Wasn't great against Central Michigan, but again, that's probably just they weren't awake yet. But Kentucky, they get off to a fast start. So in this game, to me, judging from what I've seen, whoever gets off to the fast start, I think is going to take control of this game and not relinquish it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Missouri, I think, will get it together and be a pretty good team this season, but Kentucky just impressed me with how they came out of the gate just swinging. It was much better than I thought it would be, much more fun to watch than I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. And I think they just look like, at this point in the season, they're just a better team right now. We'll see. Like I said, I think Missouri will get it together and play well, but
it's going to be a good game. It's going to be tight.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be. And we have Ole Miss and Austin Peay. We don't need to talk about that. I do want to mention a little bit before we go into the pick segment. If you look at LSU versus McNeese, that's Ed Orgeron versus Cody Orgeron. If McNeese State can rise up and defeat them, he would be the reason that his dad lost his job.
That's a fun storyline.
Yeah. So
can you imagine Thanksgiving at the Orgeron house?
Yeah, that would be pretty rough.
Do you think they all ripped their shirts off at Thanksgiving?
Potentially. Potentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll rip your shirt off before you get to the turkey, boy.
All right, let's move on to picks. So we're not here until 11 o'clock tonight. Pittsburgh -3 at Tennessee. I'm going with the Panthers in that game. I do not have a lot of faith in the quarterback position.
I understand that, but I have to go with my Tennessee team. I believe that Joe Milton's going to get a little better. That running game is solid enough that I think they can handle the tempo. I'm definitely picking Tennessee to cover in that one.
I think Tennessee's good enough all around. I worry about their depth, but I think they're good enough all around to be a little bit more electric, more than Pitt can handle, I think. Pitt's offense is not great. and I think that's going to be the downfall. So I'm gonna take the Vols. I'm gonna take them to at least cover, but I think they win outright.
Yeah, one thing to keep an eye on because of the depth issues. Tennessee, if they jump out on them in the first half, they have a chance. If it's a close game in the second half, the depth is going to take over, and their numbers is going to be a problem.
Honestly, I don't think Pitt has a ton of depth either. I don't think Pitt has a ton of depth. So I think Tennessee's second and third teamers are better than Pitt's second and third teamers, and I think depth is not going to be a huge issue. It's not as much as you think it would be in this game.
Okay. South Carolina -2.5 at East Carolina. I'm going with the Pirates in this game simply because of home field.
I don't know. I was impressed with South Carolina in this last game. I didn't think they were going to play as well as they did. I know the competition wasn't great, but I'm going ahead and picking them to cover that spread and actually beat East Carolina in probably a close game.
I think South Carolina getting back Kevin Harris is a big jolt. So I think South Carolina is going to benefit from that, and I think Kevin Harris is going to have a big game and South Carolina wins. It's not going to be by much, but again, they're going to win. They're going to cover. They're going to win by 3.
And Florida is 28.5-point favorites at South Florida. I'm going with the Gators in this game. I think it's just because, like we talked about earlier, South Florida is just really, really bad. But I do think Florida's going to look ahead, and that could put a cover in jeopardy at some point. This could be a 42-17 with a field goal in the fourth quarter right at the end of the game that allows South Florida to cover.
Yeah, I think Florida has some things to work on, but this is a game where they'll be allowed to work on it and still score. So I think they'll cover that spread, although I agree with you. It could be something where they're spending so much time focusing on fixing problems that they don't actually take the time to cover the spread. But I think they will in this game.
This is the kind of game that's going to give Grantham an extension because he's going to look a lot better than he is. South Florida ain't scoring. They might get one. They might get one. And Florida's going to score 42 points. Let's just get that out on the table. They're going to score 42 points because they're just going to score 42 points. So they can cough their way and regurgitate 42 points on this team, and I think they will. They'll do it with quarterback runs. I mean, they'll score 4 touchdowns just on quarterback runs. They'll probably have a special team touchdown. They'll probably have a pick 6.
Okay.
So I think Florida covers. This is going to be maybe I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong, but they're going to cover.
UAB at Georgia. Georgia's a 25-point favorite. I'm going with the Dogs just because they're a 25-point favorite. Can UAB? How much will they score in this game? And I don't think that number is much above 3, which means 28 points would do it, which means I expect Georgia to cover.
I think Georgia's going to get 30 points, and UAB is probably not going to get much at all. UAB might get shut out. Hopefully that's the case, and all they need is 30 points to win and cover. I know I said they're not going to cover. I have a hard time, not picking Georgia in this one. They're going to cover. That probably won't be as amazing of a cover as you think, but they'll cover somehow.
Yeah, I think they'll just line up like we say and mash. Texas A&M -17 at Colorado, Mile High Stadium, or the new Mile High. And I'm going to take Texas A&M. I think this is going to be a 34-14 type game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Texas A&M they're going to get better, like I said, every week. And I think this is a week they really pull some things together a little better than last week and just kind of roll.
I think you're going to see the biggest improvement from any team from week 1 to week 2. I know we talk about teams get better, and that's where the jump happens. I think A&M, if you look at Jimbo Fisher's teams, they always make a significant jump from week 1 to week 2, and I think this is going to happen here. I think A&M big. I love Colorado. I think Colorado's a good squad, but A&M's going to roll.
Yeah. NC State -2.5 points at Mississippi State. They go down to Starkville. I am not really high on this Mississippi State team. I am high on North Carolina State. I think this game could be like a 31-17 type, 31-10 type game.
To me, this was a toss-up. I didn't know which way to go. I like Mike Leach, and I like what he's trying to do there, so I really want to pick them, and I'm going to pick them in this game. But NC State is much better than I thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season, so I will not be surprised if I'm wrong.
don't get it twisted, man. I love Mike Leach, and I think I love what he's trying to do. I agree with you every step of the way, Jeb, except he doesn't have anybody to do it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the players to do it right now. They're struggling, man. They got no experience. They got no air raid guys. They're not fully bought into a system yet. He's still working on that. So in that vein, they're going to struggle. I mean, they got down by 20 to Louisiana Tech. It's just because Mississippi State is an SEC team and they have SEC depth that they were able to beat Louisiana Tech. And that ain't going to happen this week. NC State's a dark horse in the ACC. I wouldn't be surprised if Clemson don't run into some trouble there in their own division with NC State. I mean, NC State's good, and they're going to win by a couple touchdowns.
All right, insert your own Southwest Conference joke. Texas is favored by 6.5 points over Arkansas. I think this is like the big game, the arrival game. You've arrived type thing, and I expect Arkansas to at least cover this game. Maybe win outright.
I don't know. I like the way Texas looks right now. And I really think they're good enough to beat Arkansas by at least a touchdown. I don't think they're national championship contenders, but I think they're a good team.
Yeah, Bijan Robinson reminds me, and I know Sark, as soon as he saw him, he's like, man, that's Najee Harris. He reminds me a lot of Najee. I'm not saying he's as good as Najee, but he reminds me of Najee. The way he plays, the way he's being used. I see Texas, and obviously not with 5 first-rounders in the offense, but I see Texas, and I see Alabama's system last year, and it's good. It's a good thing. So I think Texas is going to win the game. They're going to cover. Arkansas is going to do everything they can. Texas is going to cover late. We're going to see a very impressive performance from Arkansas, but it's not going to be quite enough this year. Sark has their number to be the Longhorns.
Something to look at. Sark had Mac Jones playing quarterback, one of the smartest quarterbacks to play in the SEC in the last 20 years against Arkansas's drop 8 that did Matt Corral harm last year. This is a freshman going up playing against that defense, so that's something to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, that's not ideal, but again, they've got a better safety valve than most schools do. So
yeah. Missouri at Kentucky. Kentucky's favored by 5.5 points. I don't know if Will Levis is Joe Burrow or if he is Kenny Trill. I don't know at this point. We need to see him perform for a second straight game. I do think it's going to be somewhere in the middle, and he's going to be a good quarterback, and he's going to move that offense and be fine. But I like Kentucky in this game.
Oh, yeah, we are judging that off one game. I understand. Yeah. So we don't know. But Kentucky looked great. I enjoyed it. Like I said, they were a lot more fun than they were the year they were just doing nothing but running the ball, couldn't throw the ball at all. So, no, I like Kentucky right now.
Well, we know Will Levis is a little bit more level-headed than Kenny Trill, so we know he's not going to be that. We know he's going to be a good quarterback. And a good quarterback in a great system, I'll take that any day of the week. Because you have Chris Rodriguez, Kavassier Smoke, and you have Josh Ali on the perimeter. You have a great offensive line and a defense that's really can play dominant at times.
Don't forget Wan'Dale Robinson.
Oh, that guy, yes. Wan'Dale Robinson. He's also another piece. So they've got pieces. They've got a scheme. They take advantage of everything they have. It's like watching the Los Angeles Rams and watching Sean McVay in that Super Bowl year. And the scheme is enough for me. I think a good quarterback can function in that scheme, especially when you have pieces around you. You have 2 great receivers, a great offensive line, a great running back, and a good complementary back. You're going to be really good. Play action is going to be great. The schemes are great. So give me the Wildcats.
All right. And everybody is taking Auburn, Alabama, Ole Miss, and LSU in the non-line games playing SES teams. We do want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Corey, it's his birthday. I hope it was a good one. I think he's turned like 723, give or take a few years. What
does that make you, 1,100?
Oh, yeah. I'm Methuselah's grandfather.
There you go. Yeah, I was here for the I was here from the page. I was here for the page flip of BC to AD, so we're good.
So, just want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. Tune in to all of our great shows this weekend. We'll have Joe DeLeon talking about the Austin P Governors on Saturday morning for everybody. Bill Flowers. We got Bill Flowers for Sunday. Friday night, Biscuits and SEC are going to preview the SEC. So that should be a lot of fun as well. Next week, we have Isaac Gross. So we have a lot of good stuff coming up. Tune into the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. Catch Corey and Israel Trout talking all about Georgia football. And you can catch Jeb here. So
cheers, mates.
Yeah. So I hope everybody has a good time. Enjoy your beer, have fun, and we will see you tomorrow with the podcast. Until then, hotty toddy.
Go Dogs.